So I want to thank everyone for coming out for our press conference announcement of what we're going to be doing in 2013. We're pretty excited. First off, as we're getting going, if you haven't got a cupcake yet, our team's handing out really nice cupcakes, red velvet, so please make sure you get one. And as we're getting started, we wanted to congratulate the Women's World Cup team for winning the gold. It was a pretty fantastic game, and even the semifinal, if you caught that, was pretty neat. So, and a lot of the players in the World Cup this year were from the Western New York Flash. X Sinclair, who scored 3 goals for Canada, she played last year. And then Alex Morgan, who was famous for scoring some of the goals, and I think she had that really nice header. And I think she was in, Sports Illustrated last year, so that was really nice. So, yeah, and also, as those players are with us, they weren't with us this year because of the Olympics, but the Western New York Flash, who are always our grand marshals at the Sahlen 6 Hours, won their 3rd consecutive title this year, so congratulations to them. And we have Aaron Lyons, the head coach, and Alex Sahlen, their defender, with us, so congratulations. And I'm going to hand this over to Joe Sahlen here next. As a timeline of how we've had press conferences, in 2005 we had one at Daytona to announce our partnership, and then we came here in 2007 to announce we were doing Corvettes, but now we're going to have a different form of announcement.
Thank you, Will. This is a pretty interesting story. Every team has a story behind how they've arrived at where they are. Sahlen's and myself got involved. The Glen has always been near and dear to our hearts as a family, being because of the close proximity of where we live. We were always fans here. So this all started about 10 years ago when we wanted to take an opportunity to become a sponsor of the track. And one thing leads to another, and being a competitive sort, people encouraged me to start to be more involved in the competitive side of things, and GRAND-AMerican recommended that I talk to the Nonamaker family as a way of getting started, and that's what I did, and that was 8 years ago. But getting back to a little bit, but there's a long history behind even my 10-year involvement with, directly involved with motorsports, and Joe can elaborate on that in a few moments because he's been at it for 40 years. So this is a long story that is culminating in this announcement here today. But I can speak from both a sponsor and being involved with the team and also being a competitor. And it's all about being competitive, opportunity, and desire to do whatever you can do in the highest level, whether it's in our meat products, keeping our quality and a reputation impeccable at our sports park, with our soccer teams that Will just gave you a little brief history that we've been successful in a three-peat, 3 different leagues, 3 years in a row. So we've achieved that excellence. So that competitive drive is always there where you try and compete at the highest level. So when I came on board with Phoenix Promotions at the time, which then soon after that became Team Sahlen in order to enhance the Sahlen brand, we were involved with ST, GS. Then 6 years ago we moved up into the GT class and progressed on from there. And it's always been a desire, again, to compete at the highest exposure level insofar as our Sahlen brand is concerned. So as we started to assess our situation as a team, early this year, as the time went in through springtime, we took a look at with the dynamics of what was going on within the classes, within GRAND-AMerican from top to bottom, and started to take a look at what fit best with where the team was in its chronology, as well as where the Sahlen brand wanted to be insofar as marketing that brand. So that gives you a little bit of a setup as to where we found ourselves in late winter, early spring this year. And the driving force behind this whole announcement that we're about to make here has been Joe Nonamaker. And so I want to turn it over to Joe, and he can explain from his perspective, his history, and what it means to him. Because again, he's got a long history involved here, and it's extremely gratifying, I'm sure, for him to reach this stage of his career and life. But Joe can fill you in now on a little bit more of the details of how we've arrived at where we are and what we're going to be doing.
My mic's on. There, yeah. One thing we've all figured out by now, I'm old. I've been racing for 40 years, and that's a long time. My first car, real car on a racetrack, I started out with Corvettes. Jim Conham was a 1974 Pinto, and I broke my wife into racing the right way. I took her to my very first race. This is my street car I drive back and forth to work because it had a roll cage in it. That was what they call showroom stock. I took her to the first race, and in the race, the wheel broke, the car rolled over, and they took me in with an ambulance. So it's been easy for her to go for the next 40 years, dear, thank you, between breaking my neck, broken bones here and there. But it's been a long ways, and it's a long ways from a 1974 Pinto that we drove back and forth to now having the trailer rigs and everything that we have to make this happen. And we've been racing a long time. I've been very fortunate that my sons both wanted to race, and they both race with me. I've gotten to drive with both of them, doing the 24-hour. My two daughter-in-laws come, so this is a family affair for us. And it's been a long time coming and a long time building. And we've been building toward this for a long time, and it really started getting momentum when Joe came on as our sponsor. It allowed us to start looking at moving up, and then Joe and I became partners versus a sponsor. Joe's not the sponsor anymore. We're partners in this, and it's been a great partnership for Joe and I. It's worked out great, and we hope to go forward from here. So we've been progressing and moving up the ladder, and we've done a lot. We brought on an engineer, Katie Crawford, a couple years ago. We hired a team manager to build the team in steps, because we can't just go from an ST car to what we wanted to do. And there's a lot of things I wanted to accomplish. When I was a kid, I went to Mid-Ohio and used to go to the Trans-Am races. I wanted Donahue's Trans-Am car. I wanted that car. That was my ultimate car. Well, I actually got it when I got the Mazdas. They're the same basic car, actually faster. The other thing I always wanted to do is race Indy, but never wanted to drive an open wheel car. And we progressed now to where we're moving into that same to me category. Joe did mention we looked at all the things we could do within Grand-Am. We've been with Grand-Am since they started this program. We were here when they had the first races with the DPs. We wanted to race Grand-Am. We've been racing Grand-Am all this time. We like Grand-Am. So our idea and all the homework we did was to where do we want to land in Grand-Am. So that gives you a little history. It's a long-term thing. It's a family. I call Joe my younger brother sometimes because he is our partner, and he is younger than me. We won't disclose his age. So having said that, that's what brings us to where we're at and what we're going to do next year. Would you like to pull off the center?
I've got an assistant for that. So.
Alex Sahlen is going to unveil our plans for next year. We're moving up to prototypes. It will be a Raleigh chassis and BMW motors. So our big announcement is we're going up to DP in the BMW with a Raleigh. Start testing as soon as this season's over. We're ready to go testing. So we finished this season because we still have a chance of winning a championship with Mazda. But as soon as the season's over, we'll be testing our new cars. You want to show them our cars? I'm going to pass the mic real quickly here. We're going to run two cars. One is our lead car, and the other car will be Joe, Will, and I, which will be the only true gentleman driver car in the whole series, where we're all three gentleman drivers. So Dane and Wayne are going to be driving together in our lead car, and if the mic will reach you, I'll hand it to you.
This work?
Does yours work?
Yeah, there's yours.
I can keep mine. Turn Joe on.
All right, you got him. So, yeah, it's really exciting next year. Really proud to be able to represent